Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I really appreciate each and every one of you who have subscribed, who've liked and shared these videos. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It helps the channel and helps to get the word out. Now, I've decided here to do a Narcissistic Family Unit Part 2. Now, why do I need a Part 2? Well, on the first video, there were some things due to time I had to leave out, and I feel they're very important. Also, a lot of you wrote in the comments that you had this family dynamic, and if you have, it's very painful to go through, and as an adult, people are still carrying around, the effects of that coming from a non-supportive narcissistic family unit. And many times in adult life, the family tries to hoover you back if you've left, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But again, this is the Christian perspective on narcissism in the world today. So if this is your first time watching, welcome. And for those of you who've been watching, I thank you very much for your support of the channel and your viewership. So let's get started here with the Narcissistic Family Unit Part 2. Well, I discussed in the first video, and hopefully you guys have watched that, the Narcissistic Family Unit, the Part 1 version, that the head narcissist in the family is the one who seems to be listened to in the family. They have the clout in the family. It could be an older sibling, it could be a parent, it could be a step-parent, it could be a family member that has say-so influence and who's kind of feared, I think, in many cases. They have a sense of clout, and people are in the family find it difficult to speak up to that person. The people that follow along with that head narcissist are the flying monkeys in the family, the minions of the family that really, don't make a decision or think with their own mind. But, basically, if the narcissist says something is true, the minions go along with it. So there tends to be family gossip initiated by the head narcissist and a narrative about the scapegoat of the family, who is the black sheep of the family, the odd man out, the family member or sibling that, or child that is really the different one. Nobody really gets to know each other in this type of family dynamic. They really don't have any interpersonal, relationships on a deep level with each other. It's basically for family image, family get-togethers, their pictures on Facebook, or to present to the public some type of closeness with each other, when actually they really don't know about each other. They don't communicate on a deeper level with each other, or intimate level. So that's the dynamic of the narcissistic family unit. Now, the scapegoat, as we said, is the truth teller. They're the one to call a spade a spade. They tend to be pretty outspoken. They notice the elephant in the middle of the room that nobody else is talking about, and they really are bewildered, like, the elephant's in the middle of the room. Why isn't anybody talking about this? They're problem solvers. They like to get to the root of the problem and resolve it. They're not afraid of confrontation many times. But in other cases, the scapegoat is so bullied and so terrorized by the other family members, yes, they are afraid to speak up. But for the most part, a lot of scapegoats are, whistleblowers, basically judged by the head narcissist and the other family members as being dramatic or too outspoken and basically causing trouble. When that isn't the case, the scapegoat usually just sees the dysfunction and wants it called out, basically. So that's the basis of the narcissistic family unit and that type of dynamic in the family. Now, the one thing I didn't cover, or one of many things I didn't cover in the first video, was, their sense of competition. The narcissistic family unit is based on competition with each other instead of really genuine concern for each other. Who has what, who has the most in the bank, who has the better job, who bought the bigger house. And a lot of sarcasm, joking, jokes that aren't funny, basically, mostly about the scapegoat, and really nothing of substance. So the scapegoat, being a deeper personality and a little more intellectual, would probably sit there in bewilderment, like, why isn't anybody talking about anything of substance? Or scapegoats tend to be more spiritual, more complex characters. Many times they're in the arts or creative fields. And they have a hard time with that superficial type of talk. But by the same token, the minions and the head narcissist really can't understand the scapegoat's depth. So in a narcissistic family, they will dismiss the scapegoat. They could ask the scapegoat a question, and when the scapegoat is giving their perspective on it, which may be a little deeper, they may just stare at that scapegoat and then switch the subject to sports or something. They can do this on the phone as well. Maybe you didn't talk to that family member for a few years even, and suddenly they call and they act concerned about the scapegoat's life. But when they ask the scapegoat what's going on, the scapegoat starts talking about work or something that's happening, trying to catch up. And mid-sentence, the narcissist or the narcissist minions, the other family members that are under the narcissist's brainwashing, will basically change the subject or say, oh, I have to cook dinner, I have to go. Or so-and-so just walked in, I have to go, bye. So in other words, if the conversation that has nothing to do with the narcissist or, the flying monkeys, if they're the ones calling you, basically the conversation ends. They don't want to hear anything that isn't pertaining to them, even though they say they call out of concerns. It kind of reopens the wound for the scapegoat. They moved away, but they're getting the same amount of dismissiveness even in a phone call. So it's very painful for the scapegoat of the family if they come from that family unit. They really are trying time and time again to get some form of relationship with these people, to get some form of genuine authenticity and concern and empathy from their family members and support, but it just never happens. They're just simply not capable of it. Or maybe they are, but they choose not to be that way. Who knows? We've been trying to figure out why narcissists and their flying monkeys are the way they are for quite some time now, haven't we? Yes, we have. Now, the other part is the scapegoat is controlled in the family. Can't have that family image, make sure everybody thinks that, we're like this. And so the scapegoat's truth factor, the scapegoat is the truth teller, remember? That gets stifled. They're not allowed to speak their truth. They're basically told what to say, how to say it, present this image that other people have of us, and don't rock the boat. They see the dysfunction. They see everything that is not right. They see how they're treated, but yet they're supposed to present this perfect family image to everybody. And they're not allowed to say certain things, like something innocent, like, oh, this family member is such a strong person, I admire them. So if the scapegoat says that about someone, the family might say, don't say that. We don't want people to think they're strong. I mean, that's negative. We want them to think they're sweet and nice. Don't present the family like that. They're very much on image and very competitive with each other. So that's something that normal, healthy families usually don't deal with. Also, they're not allowed to have problems, in other words. So if the scapegoat has any issues, anything going on, they have to keep it to themselves. It's basically the family only wants to interact when people are perfect. If they have an issue or some kind of problem that they're working through, it's best to kind of go away for a while and resurface when you're perfect for that narcissistic family to deal with you. Usually it's the opposite. Families are there in hard times and when the person's going through a hard time. But with a narcissistic family unit, you really can't trust them with anything like that. They will take it and run and really make fun of whatever's going on in that person's life instead of helping them. The opposite of what a family is supposed to do. So it's very different from healthy families out there. Now, the narcissistic family does what they want. They do what's best for the narcissist and the minions in the family that follow the narcissist. They really don't consult the scapegoat about anything. It doesn't matter if it's legal decisions or, where to put mom and dad in a nursing home. The scapegoat is never really asked their opinion on anything. So again, it's a form of dismissiveness and devaluing. Now, the same family unit, the minions, will enable the narcissist. They will make excuses for the head narcissist. If the head narcissist has been abusive to numerous people that have reported this, will say, oh, they were never abusive. The scapegoat's just making it up. They just enable the narcissist's abuse over and over again, and they refuse to see that most times the narcissist has severe dysfunction going on in their life. Like I said, it could be alcohol, it could be some addictive behavior, and it's the severe abuse they dish out. For some reason, these flying monkeys, like a fan club, they will just defend that narcissist, and they all point the finger at the scapegoat or other people as the problem. So they enable quite a bit. Now, also, family units will hoover you. If you have left your family of origin or your narcissistic family unit and gained some healthy distance from them, maybe you found your own tribe of people that celebrate you and support you and accept you. Oh, new concept, huh? They're out there in the world, these people that are just like, the scapegoat. It's just a matter of finding people that are supportive and kind and non-dismissive and who value you and who celebrate your accomplishments. If your narcissistic toxic family unit doesn't do that, then sometimes it is best to have some distance and try to find your tribe of people that are like-minded, like you, and can celebrate you. Now, I'm not saying to leave your family of origin and go no contact. Now, some of you have decided to do that. That's your personal decision. For those of you, trying to make that decision, I'm not telling you to do that. But if you find that you have limited contact with your family and that's healthier for you, and you've created some distance and you now have a more supportive family or tribe that you found of friends and people that are kind and nice and supportive, then that's great. You're on the road to a healthier path. But just keep in mind that the narcissistic family unit really will miss abusing you. They will miss the jokes. Who we're going to make fun of now? There's, the scapegoat's gone. So they will try to hoover the scapegoat back. It could be, oh, we need you for this, or why don't you be part of the family, or come to this wedding, or whatever it is. And only you can make that decision, whether you are going to accept that hoover or not, or whether, it's worth going. Now, if you do have contact with your family still, and you want contact with your family, and you want to know how to maneuver that, well, these are the suggestions. Okay. Spend, time alone first on your own. Pray, fast for your family. Do what you have to do, because it is a loss. They're your family. You miss spending time with them. You wish they would change, but unfortunately they don't. And also, lower your expectations. Expect them, because time has passed or you've been away, for them to turn into different people. It doesn't happen. If they've abused before, they will abuse again. Scapegoats get very disappointed time and time again when they've spent time away, and then they're called back and they realize that things haven't changed. They're still dismissive. They still don't acknowledge anything that you've accomplished. It's pretty much the same behavior as when you were there in your childhood. Also, you may want to limit your conversations to talk about pretty much nothing. I hate to say that, what is nothing conversation? Well, nothing conversation to a scapegoat probably is the weather. You may want to just talk about the weather, talk about the sale up the street, the house down the street that sold. My gosh, wow, that house sold. Just things that the scapegoat could care less about. But you'll find that your narcissistic family unit will engage in those conversations. They'll be smiling and happy. They'll like you when you talk about absolutely nothing. It's really something to see. The bottom line is, I also forgot in the first video to mention that in the case of Joseph, okay, he was sold into slavery by his siblings. In the case of Joseph, the reason he was, raised up to be the king's right-hand person in the palace is because God knew he was going to forgive his siblings one day and knew Joseph's heart. So in the story of Joseph, I didn't get to this in the first video, but his siblings one day came begging for food at the palace. And they did not recognize Joseph as their brother because he had a beard and he was dressed in obviously nicer clothes and everything. And they had sold him into slavery as a younger person. So they didn't recognize Joseph, but Joseph recognized them finally. So what did Joseph do when they were begging for food at the palace and they didn't know the person there was their brother, the one that they mocked, the one that they laughed at, the one they were jealous of, the one they threw into a pit and sold into slavery? Joseph forgave his siblings. And in fact, he celebrated finding them and welcomed them in the palace, and he fed them. So the moral of that story is God knew Joseph's heart, that he had a forgiving heart. And so that's what we're called to do. Now, we know, narcissistic family units can do a lot of damage. But in our heart, God is asking us through the story of Joseph to forgive them, which is very hard. But we can choose to forgive them, but we don't have to set ourselves up for constant abuse, because the Lord wants us to be productive and to fulfill our calling. And many times that calling just may be away from our family of origin, as was many in the Bible that were chosen for different roles. So I hope this information was helpful to you. And once again, thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you haven't done so yet, please do so. It helps the channel greatly, as well as following on Facebook and Rumble. And I'm not sure what you do on Rumble, whether you give it a rumble or a like, but it all helps to get the word out and expand the ministry. So I really appreciate that. If you have a prayer request, put it in the comments below. Know that I pray for everybody nightly. And, if you have a specific prayer request, obviously I take that into consideration, and I write down your name and pray for everybody that requests it on the channel as best as I can. If you would like one-on-one Christian-based guidance, please email me at AngelHavenMinistry@gmail.com, and I would be happy to get back to you with that information on how you can do that. So once again, everybody, thank you so much for listening and for watching, and I will see you next time with more. God bless.